I step over the line sometimes, and I'm going to work on it this year. No, thank you, and Trillian, thanks for letting me speak. I don't want to take up too much time. I know you're getting into the nitty-gritty.
You're good. I always forget that. That's what, like, people genuinely care more about that topic than like half the stuff that I've been playing, right? I'm trying to like be an aggregator here and bring you guys some of what seems to be important without, pictures of Nicki Minaj every other swipe.
Oh, I got a question for you. Go ahead. All right, so you're getting some attention here. Spaces. How are you? How's your ego doing?
It's mostly Sarah and Honey Badger. I just,
I know. I mean, that's half the reason why I popped up here as well. I mean, when you get these
intellectual... At least you're honest.
Well, I mean, when you get intellectual women who are paying attention to the present moment alchemy of, like, society, it's kind of hard not to, so...
You're very
Sarah's paying attention to something. It's not me, though.
I'm starting a book club, so I'm writing the curriculum for the first book.
Did you pick...
You're starting a book club.
Did you pick the first book?
Yeah.
Baxter did.
What? Can you imagine Sarah in a book?
I read a book a week.
I'm saying you.
I already ran one.
Okay, what?
Do you see her glasses? The glasses is reading book club.
I ran one for years until I got doxxed.
But what does it look like, Sarah? Is it like these women sitting in a circle trying to get their takes and saying,
women aren't smart enough to read the books I read for the most part. So it's
women are not allowed.
So it's mostly men and me.
Just have this picture in my head of that.
It's too soon to, like, make these rules, right? Like, can we just be welcome to the possibility that there's a book by Sarah?
I mean, there is a book club, but women aren't smart enough to be in it for the most part.
Sarah, we need a cookbook from you.
No, just buy the cookbook from my family's culinary school. Like, I just buy that. That's literally exactly how I cook.
Well, plug that.
Shameless plug. But yeah, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I would just say, guys, for the family, just enjoy your family for who they are. I'm telling you, like, it's hard enough as it is, and it's like not everybody's burden to like know all the shit that's going wrong in the planet. Like, enjoy your family for who they are. You're gonna have potentially like one or two family members that are like receptive enough. And like, here's what was crazy, okay? Luke Skywalker and Matt Baker, they're both investigative journalists. They're in the field all the time. You guys have probably seen them on Spaces. Matt's the guy with the dreads, the white dude with the dreads. Anyway, so they went to Charlie Kirk's memorial, that big service they had at State Farm Stadium, and they noted how, imagine that's like a big sort of like event, right? A family event type thing, right? Because everyone's coming together to like grieve Charlie's loss, and it's, it's kind of, very emotional, let's just say. I know it's not like a true family, but that was
a big deal. It was a big deal.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, a similar type vibe, right? And what they said, it was like, it was this weird awkwardness because nobody who was there really believed the story of how Charlie died, and they're all there to like commemorate this man's life and his passing and all of this stuff. And they said, and it was like awkward, right? Because like you didn't want to say the wrong thing, right? Because imagine, you're at this event and like you're asking questions. And they said like once they kind of like broke the ice, like one person kind of came along and like asked about it, and then somebody else said, yeah, you know what? Like it doesn't make any sense. And before you knew it, you realized like that entire room, like the entire arena was full of people who agreed on the fact that they weren't buying the official narrative. So like that's a case, right, where it's like, should we be talking about this? And it's like strangers, they're not even family. And once somebody broke the ice, it really came out. They even put it on their, so there was like a news broadcaster at that event, and it's on record, like they made it as part of their coverage to say that they asked people up and down the line if they believed that Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk alone, and they said that 0% of people believed it. Like, zero. It's documented. It's crazy. So anyway, I'm just saying, like, there are some issues that I think are going to be more like that, right? It's like you're all thinking it, and it's like cool to say. Well, don't,
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say?
I would also say, you know what, the thing is you're not going to move mountains in a day. And I don't know how long it's been since you've been around your family. I don't know when the last time you talked to everybody, right? Just instead see it as an opportunity to build bridges. And by that I mean just family bridges,
process. I'll be myself from there. And, you know, 'cause we haven't had.
And you can see, you see people say, I don't want to talk about it, like, yeah, you know, like, at least if somebody's interested, then you can start a dialogue.
I say we need to at least give Charlie Kirk his respect because that was a man that did his thing, and obviously he had a wife and he was looking for all these things. We need to have a level of respect for him.
Oh, amen, amen, amen. Don't you love how his ceremony turned into kind of like almost a church feel, like.
Yeah, that's
Man, we need to have some love for him. At the end of the day, these things go hand in hand. We need to respect him. We need to love him. We need to appreciate him because he did his thing and he was a speaker. And I will never be able to talk as well as him. And God bless his soul, man. That's all.
I love that you said that because, you know, I don't know if you were listening earlier when Charlie was going all the way through Palantir and the tech, you know, and the tech macro scene, et cetera. But, you know, one of the things that always is refreshing in these conversations is when I'm reminded that not everybody has lost their humanity, you know. And so when you're trying to consider the family, you're just saying, who's a human being? And now he's not here anymore. To be reminded of those things and to know that other people still are looking at it from that perspective really does my heart good. So thank you.
I have a question about my morality right now. So I have a hope that Charlie Kirk is on some like tropical island somewhere, and that he's sold out, you know, but he's still alive.
Hi everyone.
But also, I mean, the truth that he was just killed because he was so virtuous, like that hurts more. I think. I don't know. I'm so used to being lied to by this whole like media thing that I hope that the guy that taught me more about Christ than anybody else is actually still alive, and it was just part of a show. And you know, I don't know. I don't know how to take it still. I haven't really grieved properly, and I'm gonna shut up now.
Yeah, I mean, you're not alone. I mean, I get people all the time, every day. I would say it's way more common than you think, but a lot of people don't think he's dead. A lot of people, first off, like, they don't want to consider what that would mean, right? They don't want to, like, he was lost. They've been lied to so much that they just don't believe anything anymore. And, yeah, I mean, I was hearing it today from people who are pretty credible. I think actually, this one was from Chase Geyser. He's a younger guy, but he was talking about how Jeffrey Epstein's not dead, you know, and he's in witness protection, and that's why they can't release any of the documents and all this kind of stuff. So listen, like, I don't want anybody dead, certainly not from what we saw, but the problem is we saw what we saw, and, you know, in order for that to be pulled off, that would entail even bigger conspiracy than what, you know, Candace is getting beaten down for. So look, I too would hope that he is still alive. It doesn't seem good for that aspect of it. The problem is that we're all in jeopardy until things change. This is like when did you see when Miriam Middleton offered Donald?
No, I didn't. What is AF Hour? If you want to help us get back on track, because I didn't want to take you down some Charlie Kirk path. What is AF Hour?
It's just the stage thing. We should
Is it full view?
AF is America First.
Alright, amen. Alright.
Yeah, it's just America First. I'm trying to capitalize off the Groypers. You know, they're everywhere. We need the Groypers in here. No, I'm kidding. I mean, just America First. We have a lot of great spaces out there. You know, a lot of times people who speak of American things are not indeed in America. So we figured let's get some Americans together to be smart too on the internet.
You know what would be cool? This is something that I'll throw up in the air. Obviously, it's different from the space, but a good friend of mine, Henry, he is more Democratic leaning, and I wanted to have him I wanted him to join one of the spaces so he can, you know, voice whatever he has to say, and we talk about it because, you know, he's a good friend of mine. Yeah, I'm like right leaning, you know, Republican leaning, whatever the case might be, but I love Henry because, you know, obviously that's my friend, and I don't really care, like, the politics aside, all the bullshit, like, all that, it doesn't matter. We laugh about it, we joke about it, we talk about it, but I would like to hear him talk about some things, and even if it dismantles whatever it is, like, he necessarily thinks, I don't necessarily think it would, but it would be good to have someone that has a different political belief inside the space, if that makes sense.
200 million people. Anybody can come up and espouse whatever talking points that they want. We have debates on. Honestly, I don't know why more people who disagree with us don't come up. The problem is, like, most of us will disagree with pretty much everyone. Like, MAGA, they don't show their heads in here. They don't come up. The Zio people, the Jews, they don't like coming in here either. So I don't know, man. Like, anybody is welcome. I pretty much every single person gets a mic. So yeah, we're not like
Yeah,
keeping anybody out.
How long have you been paying attention to the guardrails on X?
Well, that's the
Well,
problem.
I mean, that's the whole thing, though. That's how you tell the difference, because I promise you that I don't agree with Trillian about everything. I don't agree.
How
I
dare
don't
you.
know what those things are. I'm sorry. I wasn't supposed to say that in public. But no, seriously, I don't know what those things are, but I'm sure that it's true. That's how you separate the people that are, not forcing a narrative and not expecting other people to do their thinking for them.
I don't want to agree with everybody. Like, that's the point. Is like, yeah, agree. What's the point of agreeing with every? Like, this is what's so awesome about living in America, is that, like, there is such a variety of things. Like, she, for example, Honey Badger. Where were you from originally? Were you from the Northeast? That's
Yeah,
probably
from
why we
Michigan.
agree. Well, that's not Northeast, Michigan. Anyway, it's just like such.
Well, it is. I mean, where I lived out I could see Canada. Like,
Oh, you
across
have
the river.
horses, right?
Yes.
I've never ridden a horse outside of like one of those. Have I actually? I think I have one time. Those are probably so.
You will in the future if you keep on this path.
Horse.
Ultimately, we need to
Nothing wrong with that.
we have to take care of those things. These are like actual,
Well,
Well,
Yeah.
it's and the thing of it is that, well, and I think that too when you get out of your microcosm, because I don't know how many places you've lived, Trill, but from there, I lived down south, and then I lived in California, I lived in Arizona, I lived in Texas. I've lived in several different states anyway. I mean, what's outside your back door isn't the whole world, And the more that you're challenged out of your comfort zone, I hated California, like living in Silicon Valley. Like the first 5 years, I felt like all alone. It took me a long time to kind of, I wouldn't say I ever really assimilated, because I never felt like it reflected myself, but to understand other people on their terms, not yours, is a beautiful thing. And it definitely helps you sharpen your opinions and helps you really, it gives you depth perception into what you think about, about
that's
everything.
excellent. Yeah, couldn't have said that any better. Yeah, what she said. The point is not to agree with each other on everything. The point is to kind of like challenge your perspective. We have different worldviews, and that's what makes it interesting. That's what makes this whole entire thing like. I wouldn't even come on here if I already agreed with everything everybody said. I know it's different depending on what spaces you go to, and I would hope people who totally disagree grab a mic and tell us why they disagree. There's no right answer. But again,
Wait. Trill. Before we get into disagreeing, could we at least state our passion, right? Because like passion is the thing that gets us here. It really comes down to passion. I mean, I know it's a complicated word, but we're on here to find truth.
Yeah, he's on to something. He's on to something.
You're not gonna
Talk about it.
You're not gonna get me to talk about my feelings. No way. Not in front of 100 people or however many people we have in here.
All right, word. I admire that. I admire that.
It's not about that. I mean, like, look, there are different spaces and stuff. Like, I do hope to bring people. Like, here's what I realize is like there are people who make really great content, right? Like Sarah has a lot of original content. There are people who are able, like I was talking about Katarina Schultz. She has a very unique ability. Like, she's just good at this. Like, she can go and talk to like just cartel members, like people who like kill other people for a living, and sit down with them and like get their story and do all this kind of stuff. I think there's a need also to just kind of curate or like be a bit of an aggregator. Like, that's more or less what I'm doing. Like, I'm not really trying to, like, sure, I'll give you like my synthesis of ideas, but I also don't want to tell you what to think. Like, I'm just putting this like palette of colors, of videos, of clips, of all this stuff out in front of you, and you make your own decision. If you don't like what's being said, or you feel like there's something that needs to be added to the story, like, come up and tell us. Now, people might disagree with your synthesis or whatever, but again, the point here is to like get exposed to like the good parts. Like we talk about, like Honey Badger was talking a lot about like whether it's Catholicism, whether it's like a religious basis for what's going on, like a Christian perspective on things. Sarah give you like geopol.
Or even if it's from a historical perspective, and you like looking at, like, she brought up philosophy earlier. I think, that the one differentiation, as a matter of fact, that I would make between the tech bros and philosophers, they weren't just all autistic. Well, how do we know this? Because their thoughts about things have stood the test of time. They are battle tested. We realize that there is merit in what was being said, and it still applies through time and space as it did thousands of years ago. You see what I'm saying? That we don't know that about technology. It's
that's such a great point too. It's like what has been battle tested and what hasn't. I've been urging people to go back and like grab a book from like the 1920s or something. Like just go back and just like see where we are coming from and the ideas that have stood the test of time. I mean, now there's so much content being put out every single day. Like I try to impress upon people like what a book was worth. You know what a book was worth before we got like digital printing? Arian Press is one of the last real bookmakers in the United States. It's called Arian Press. They have videos. They're very, check them out on YouTube and stuff where they show you. They did a printing of the Bible. They did all this stuff. It costs about $5,000 to get a book made the way books had always been made before digital printing. And just to put like a sense of value to things, and like the people who are able to like produce, that content, those like their words were the ones entombed in these books that like every single letter, the typography, had like the typeset has to be chosen, but every single letter is like this like lead bar that has to get like injected like one at a time, and then they put together like all these little like lead sticks with like the letter on the end of it, right? So like the engraving or like the imprinting thing, they put that into sentences, they put it into blocks, and that's just one page. And then they have to do every single page. Anyway, to point out, it used to be so much more difficult to get your message broadcast, and so the things that did serve this, get preserved like through time, that were like enshrined into these books and passed down to each other, they really meant something to people. And now you could disagree with what they said, but they meant something. Now it's just become so easy, right? You can just go type up some nonsense, hit post, and it's out there in the universe for anybody to see. That's why I encourage people, like, we think our ideas are so great now. Just like, let's go back a little ways and like see what stood the test of time. Because most of, like Honey Badger said it perfectly. It's not battle tested. A lot of this is just superfluous and will not be remembered. So like, let's go back and check out the things that have made it all the way here.
Let me invite you to a book. To touch on what you were saying. Master Key Society, It Works, 1926 by R.H.J. I think that would allow a lot of insight for people.
Put it down in the comments so people can go and check out the book.
Let me grab that.
Yeah.
Indeed. It's a very short read. It's insanely beneficial if you're a person that's trying to figure out your course, and maybe you're, failing to do so, or maybe you're, along that path. It doesn't necessarily matter. But yeah, I'll go ahead and drop it. I'm sorry. I'll go ahead and drop it here.
I was playing Look Homeward Angel, a Thomas Wolfe book. And you don't have to love the book, right? But you just get a sense of where we're coming from and like who we're doing all this for. And we do stand on the shoulders of giants. Like, this is what is trying to be like re-engineered from the technology perspective, is that they've sort of thrown out all of that history that got us, that work that led us to a place where we're at. And we have gone astray. That's absolutely true. We absolutely have. But there have been these sort of, it's always been the case, it just somehow, some way, it's been brought together. Now, especially like starting in like World War II, World War I, like there has been a great change that has befallen upon our nation and in fact the entire world. That's why I say, like, let's go back like mid 1800s. I know that might be like a little too far back. They speak weird, and but like the stuff from the turn of the century is very approachable, and you'll see that it's incredibly relatable. And it's like looking back 100 years. And the reason I point there is because like we're sort of reliving that part of this like cycle of our like humanity. A lot of the the same issues, the consternations we have today, go back to the 1920s. They were talking about the exact same stuff, and of course, you don't have as much content that still has survived, but it's all there, and just to remind ourselves that, what was his name? William Durant saying that habits change, people's habits change, but instincts never do. Something along those lines.
That's good. He made the history of civilization. I think him and his sister, him and his wife. That was a good writing. I read that as well.
Yeah, you guys definitely check out some of his work. And again, don't take it for gospel, but there is some truth to that. Something I think quite iconic about it. But yeah, anyway, hopefully try to make some sense out of an otherwise very, very difficult to make sense of world. See, the thing is, I say, if you go back and you kind of understand what perceptions were at those times, go back further if you want. I mean, the Revolutionary War was a very interesting period of time as well. And who was it that was reshaping the nation? Who was it? Was it the old guys, right? Was it people like Trump? No, it wasn't. Go back and double check it. And that's it. We've lost our youth. We've lost our vigor as a nation. And the people who are the most under attack right now, I know it's it's so annoying to be old and everything's expensive and this sucks. And yeah, I know. And that's most of the voices we see out here now. What we should be paying attention to, the real shapers of the nation happen to all be in their 20s, if not younger. That's the truth.
We have the luxury of being on the back burner. There are some people that do not have that luxury. So ultimately, they're going to have to bear the consequences.
Moses, raise a hand, bro.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
going to go to energy here in a second. The point is that, what was the fuck second I need to say? Anyway, let's go to energy. I'll hopefully remember what I was going to say. Go ahead.
We were just talking about how the children are growing.
Oh, yeah. This is what's so insidious about this TPUSA thing. And we make it about Charlie Kirk and whether he's alive or he's, or not. The problem is that this age group, this demographic, is so principally important to the nation, and what they're trying to do is corral them into these presentations with fireworks and lights and Nicki Minaj and fucking Erica Kirk wearing a sequins dress. She looks like the freaking, remember that wheel from Price is Right? Remember that wheel, and it's got that.
Partners, beauty. Oh wait. Oh, Flake, not Flaco. No, the big wheel that they
Yeah,
slide.
to get $1, exactly. She looks like that freaking wheel to me.
Yeah.
It's just ding, 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 ding. And they're targeting this age group for a very specific reason. Because if they can convince them that, hey, it's all covered. Look at all of our majesty here, and we got all of the people who you watch on TV. They're right in the room with you. First, they can corral them there. But then they destroy their appetite for being American. Being American, it is very much a process. I get it that it's you're either born here or you're not that. But being American is it's a process. It's looking up at those people who are now 80 years old and entrenched, and they have their networks and they have their wealth and they have their names on buildings and all of that, and just saying fuck that. I don't that's America. Being American is the best part of this entire experience, and they've convinced them that there's nothing you need to do, and that's what's wrong about it. Meanwhile, collecting all their information, meanwhile confusing them, putting them in this Zionist indoctrination pipeline and all this kind of shit. And now they're going even younger. They're going to high schools. So that's why I think TPUSA itself has become quite insidious, not because of Charlie, and perhaps Charlie has tried to maybe act upon it at some point, towards in the last couple years, once he got targeted himself. I can't overstate this enough. TPUSA was on the ADL's glossary of hates until a month after Charlie died. Even after Charlie died, glossary of hate. They called TPUSA an anti-Semitic organization. They put him on their glossary of hate. And they didn't even take him off when Charlie died. It took a month afterwards. So now they keep coming out saying he was our best friend. That's not what they're writing in the Times of Israel. They're writing how he was an extremist. How he was an anti-Semite. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely insane. Anyway, energy, did you want to hop in? And then we'll go back to
exactly kind of what we're dealing with is unfortunate. Like you said, they say after a week after not until after a week that they were considered, a organization that was looked down upon. So oftentimes it is who is they that is making these comments. Well, now afterward, it is Israel that we know was the one who then now looks down upon Turning Point USA, because Charlie, just before he was murdered, was stating and looking at Israel through a glass bowl, looking at them and going, did they stand down on October 7th? I remember seeing that video, and Charlie was very adamant about this point that he was in Israel, and he realizes that the Israeli military, that they are like within a prison within themselves. They're bored. They're surrounded by their own military. So he's saying there's no possible way that they could have infiltrated and gotten into Israel. He says they must have stood down. And when he started talking about other things that Israel has going on and how they control the Congress of the United States, this is when the shit hit the fan. And that's when Charlie was murdered. But again, you see, the United States, we have a lot of infiltration within ourselves. So there's probably about 100 million people here in the United States that really are not citizens. Our immigration system is totally fucked and not really working by any standard of what a citizen immigration department should be working like. They should be protecting the United States, not just allowing anyone to come in just because. So there's a lot of people here, and those that are here that really aren't truly United States citizens. Then they'll come in and they'll talk about the United States and certain aspects of the government and those who are running the government, presidents, so on, and they will, they'll run them into the ground and make them look bad, but they don't have any solutions. It's just about tearing down the United States, making it look bad. Biden was a piece of shit. He was part of the Jew storyline. He was bought into it, or he was pulled into it, because they had something on Biden. So Biden had to obey his master at that point.
Brother, let's try to make a point. I love you guys, but like this history of everything and anything, I know I do that.
So what my point is we have a lot of people here that really aren't really true citizens of the United States. And what Trump just recently had done yesterday was that he took a piece of the 14th Amendment, which the Jews created. They created the 14th Amendment, the Jews. And that's the citizenship law that our immigration department follows, the Jew law. And he reestablished the meaning of birthright. So therefore, some Mexican or some other shit skin or any person of color that comes to this country, which is not a citizen of the United States, because the true citizenship law of the United States is the Federal Naturalization Law of 1790, written by the Founding Fathers 1 year after the Second Amendment. So we really got torn down by the Jew all the way back to Lincoln time. They bought out Lincoln. He was bought out by the Rockefellers. They got him into office as president, and they told him the reason why we're going to do that and what you're going to do for us, for getting you in as president, you will start a civil war. And then he didn't know the fact that really the only reason for the Civil War is to create a new citizenship law. You see, the Jews thrive on diversity. So then they killed Lincoln. They then forced the 14th Amendment. It wasn't even ratified. It took 5 years of military abuse of the Senate, of the states, to force in the 14th Amendment, if anybody truly knows. It was tyranny against the American citizens.
We're all getting
The 14th Amendment.
Okay, we're way off topic here, and as a matter of fact, this voice sounds very familiar to me.
I love you guys.
I'm not sure, but hey.
Who do you think it is? I don't know.
I'll DM
Okay.
you. I'm not sure if you know more.
Yeah, guys, I do love you, but it's just if you want to do an expose, like best thing, start your mic, record yourself, or just make a video and put it out there and get a bajillion views. It's just not the best for for a space. But I appreciate it. I mean, I don't think you said anything grossly incorrect or wrong. My issue when it comes to this stuff is just to say, like, the people before us fucked this whole thing up for us, and now we're dealing with the aftermath. And yeah, the problem is that you still do something about it. That's true, like the 14th and the Affordable Housing Act and the Martin Luther King and all Martin Luther King. Anyway, you guys get it. Point is, like,
I heard that.
Can I just say peace out, Merry Christmas? Can I say peace out, Merry Christmas? I'm glad I got to jump into space and spend a little bit of time. I'm looking forward to the book club, Sarah. Please let me know. I really will do homework this time. All right.
Have a wonderful time with your family too. God
Yeah,
bless
Is there
you.
gonna be homework? God damn it.
Well, you have to read, but
It depends on how much you care.
I thought you were gonna read to us. That's the whole point. Like, story
No, I
time,
think we should all read and figure out how these elders are trying to teach us on how to take care of this, upside down culture that we're trying to blaze through. Something like that.
I'll give you our word today on my app. It changes my background every day. If we confess our sins, He is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and to clean us from all righteousness.
This is why
John 1:16.
he recently restructured the meaning.
Okay, energy,
This
stop
guy,
it. All
he's got
right.
a lot of energy.
It's a troll.
Oh, it's a troll?
Good try. I'm not saying that it's a troll, but
And the
this is
previous guy was
it's
great.
amazing.
No, he gave so much value. I think we underestimated. He gave a lot of value.
All right, last question. Trillion. If you're coming to the Christmas party, what are you gonna bring for food or drink? You know what I mean? What are you gonna show up to the party with? And I'm out of here.
Food or drink?
Yeah. What's the presentation?
It's a good question. You can't go wrong with cheesecake. I'm bringing you guys some cheesecake.
Oh God, I love you. All right, I'll talk to you later. Peace.
Who doesn't love cheesecake? Come on.
Hey, I hope you guys have a good space. I hope everybody feels enlivened and all that. Like love, hug your neighbor, all that. All right, peace out.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate you, dude. Merry Christmas. If we don't talk before, awesome, cool. I'm glad people are in the spirit here. I don't know. What do we bring to our Christmas party? It's like at a loss. I'm like, I don't know. Go with the most obvious thing, and everybody loves cheesecake.
I cooked the entire dinner.
Well, Honey Badger recommended that we bring, humble questions and truth. So I'm gonna go with that.
I have to cook the ham, so we're definitely there. We have the ham and we have the tree. So what else do you guys know? Oh my God.
I just cook what everybody likes, so everybody likes scalloped potatoes, everybody likes stuffing, everybody, I just ask them what they want and I make it for them, I was going to do a beef Wellington, but, my daughter-in-law really wanted it, my son didn't, so of course, he won.
Are you gonna hook up a mashed potatoes and gravy? Please tell me so.
I gave them the option if they wanted mashed potatoes or, scalloped potatoes, and they went with scalloped potatoes. I think it pairs better with the ham anyways, but, I have a pro tip if anybody's interested. When you make your mashed potatoes,
Talk about it.
yeah, if you ever had, okay, so you know how with the regular mashed potatoes, you would add sour cream, milk, butter, what have you. Use chip dip. Use French onion chip dip, and you're gonna have to play with it a little bit because I don't use recipes. I take them as a suggestion, and then I kind of do my own thing. I stumbled upon this because you put there's onions, there's what do you put on potato chips? Let's put it that way, French onion dip. And so, or you could just use French onion to mix and mix it with sour cream and milk and butter and just kind of play with it until you like the way it tastes. That's what I do. I play with it until I like the way it tastes, and then I serve it to other people. So that's a suggestion I give. Also, if you guys this is just another thing on top of my head. Anybody like French toast? Use coffee creamer, French
Show sticks.
vanilla.
I'm not gonna say, but yeah, fuck yeah. Go on, elaborate,
What
please.
do we do?
French vanilla, coffee creamer, and eggs. Just mix it together. Don't use milk because people will tell you to use milk and eggs. No. Just French vanilla, coffee creamer, whichever one you like best, and a couple of eggs. They'll love you for it. Every time I suggest it, they make it for their family. Well, a couple of times, feel like their kids will ask them, "Dude, where has this been?"
That does
really
sound
good.
delicious. I love French toast sticks. That's my go-to.
That really does. Like, she's on to
I
something.
like cooking.
No, she's on to something. Goddamn. Alright, excuse me, but regardless, like,
I would make that for breakfast for you any day of the week.
I am so stoked. I actually ordered French toast. How lazy I am. I could have made them now that I have the perfect recipe. Oh man, honey badger style French toast sticks to die for. To die for. Everybody should have some. I'm having them Christmas morning for sure. Cool. Well, thank you, honey badger. Appreciate the tip. Still yet to see Sarah's culinary skills put into action here, but I'm sure they exist. I'm sure they're there somewhere under the surface. Anyway, at least we got one chef here. If you guys have any culinary questions here, maybe that's an easier one. Like, how do we talk to our family about like politics? Here's how you make really good French toast.
This is how you do it, Philly. You go in there, you say Trump 28, and then you run.
I don't know.
Vote the way I do, or I'm not feeding you.
Don't. I'm just saying, don't ruin your holiday. Like, just, maybe like the day after Christmas or something. I know people they want to impress upon their family members, like, how worldly they've become and how much they care. It usually just does not go well. I don't know. There are some people.
It's time for play Pictionary with your family, play Jackbox, play fun stuff. Just hang out, and enjoy each other's company, because you gotta remember too, on the holidays, people are usually imbibing that politics and booze is a recipe for disaster, especially when you're with your family and maybe there's a couple of tense relationships. Just, I just be with your family, joke, play cards, everybody be silly.
Yeah, highly
Put on your
recommend.
Christmas pajamas.
It's not for everyone. Like, people hate when I talk about this too, but they're all like, how do we save like every single person? Like, dude, you're not going to. You're not going to. They're like, well, how do we make sure that every Joe Schmo, and that not every Joe Schmo matters. Like, while you're focused on the people, like, they deserve a good life and all of that, but like, our enemies are in the stratosphere right now. Like, the people we really need to be like focused on here. So, just love your family, enjoy
Ourselves,
who they are.
Try
Other people, 100%. And we cannot, we can leave the word to water, but you can make.
Isn't the line between good and evil cast down the center of each of our hearts? Isn't that probably where we should begin and finally spend some time that way? And the other thing was interesting. It was interesting to me yesterday. I was looking up directions for where I had to go today, and I did something I can't remember what I did, but on Apple Directions, it showed me the whole planet. It showed me where I was on the whole planet, and so I screenshotted it as I as I moved the globe around, and I was like, wow, God, dude, I feel tiny right now as I was looking at this thing. It was like a minor epiphany of like, I live here in this tiny, tiny, tiny little corner of this whole globe, and it really helps you put things in perspective in terms of just what you have control over in the first place. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And we talk about like this whole power struggle that everybody's going through, and like, part of it, we are small. Like, the world's huge. Like, most of the United States is completely uninhabited. Like, even places that we used to inhabit aren't even inhabited anymore. Like, you have the whole entire Rust Belt. And I'm not saying that cities haven't sprawled out, but like, there's no shortage of food, there's no shortage of space, there's no shortage of ingenuity, none of this stuff. Except like, what we've optimized for is this domineering ruling class, and make it like really easy for them to just like get their way at whatever they want, right? If you like, what is really powerful is is it Klaus Schwab telling the world that they're going to be eating cricket meal because like protein, like actual like red meat protein is just out of the question? It's like too difficult to make those goddamn cows grow on a friggin' industrial farm. You know, I mean that's why they're doing it.
Once they farm, it's ruining ozone layer.
Yeah, it's basically Armageddon, right? Like cow farts and burps are basically just burning up the planet. I mean, but like, where's the power in that? You understand where it's coming from, right? Like, if you have that food production, like it's always been more or less decentralized, yeah, it's a lot of work. Like, it's pretty much a thankless job being a farmer, but you know, that's why we're all here, is because people chose to go through that. Remember, like, people used to read the Farmer's Almanac, right? I mean, people probably don't even like own this anymore. But you know, that was like a big deal, right? Like this was, now everybody's looking at stock tickers and what's Yahoo Finance say. Like that used to be the Farmer's Almanac, you know, a parallel construct, let's just say. Obviously, it's not exactly the same. But anyway, right? Like, so what is the real power? Like the World Economic Forum gets together and they decide everyone's going to be eating cricket meal because for their interest, farming, you know, and create, like, if it was easy, you know, and like red meat was just as bountiful and you know, there's plenty of it. Why are they encouraging everyone to go and eat bugs and cricket meal and all this stuff? Well, because it's easier. Like, you know, it's just easier. If they want to grow, like, they want to have these industrial farms, well, something like red meat becomes quite a bit of a challenge. You know, it's not that easy to have cows that are healthy and all of that in this, like, you see how they do the chicken coops now, right? It's just like a bajillion chickens, none of them can move, everything is, and like, so they're basically, that doesn't work very well for red meat, right? Because anything red meat has to be able to like roam and like, you know, live and all that stuff. And so they decide we're going to make everybody eat crickets, right? Like, where's the power in that? You know, they try to present themselves as powerful. Like, powerful is figuring out a better way to like feed another, like, I don't know, 100 million people. They've decided that, you know what, screw that. We're just going to have 100 million less people. They're not as powerful as like people think, except they put their image in alignment with important politicians, celebrities, and all of that. And so we think, oh yeah, they must be so powerful. Their ideas suck. They're awful. And there really is no power behind it. You know, so it's just whatever power we give it. And unfortunately, what I've seen with like the technology race, because people just sort of assume and they go to like the ends of the conclusions that we're all going to be monitored, we're all going to be in a database somewhere, we're all blah, 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 right? That they're not realizing that that's not actually a very powerful move at all. It's actually like, it's just stupid. It's a terrible idea. And the reason they're getting it embedded into the government is because they need the government to subsidize it. Plus it's illegal, right? Those are the two reasons government gets involved. It's illegal or it requires subsidy. You know, so like we give them way more power than they actually really deserve. And like the real power here is like figuring out like how much like things that produce more life, right? Like occupy more of like, I don't know. You're right. I don't know why I went on this whole rant, but basically from what Honey Badger was talking about is like we are so tiny, we're so incredibly small. We're pretending that like, oh, we're running out of everything. We gotta we just gotta make like, you know, the digital, like everything's got to be in the digital space, tokenize everything. Like this is all weak. It sucks. Anyway, that's just my approach to it, or like that's my thinking on it. But yeah, we're tiny and we should respect where we're at more and do things that produce more life and more variety and not just be hell-bent on destroying.
I'm sorry. The visual is in the jumbo time, sir.
What is it? Oh, I don't even see the jumbo. What do we have up there?
It'll pop up in a second.
Is it French toast?
No, it's the view of the apple tree of the world.
What's that game?
Very well done, Honey Badger. Exact.
Oh, I saw this post. Wasn't this yesterday? Yeah, it's from yesterday, right? Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, we're so tiny. It's so crazy. We take ourselves way too seriously. But yeah, hopefully hopefully there's enough people who like come around to this, and we just need a second track, you know. And I see what's that guy Michael, guys doing AZ Pack or AZA Pack, AZA Pack, whatever it is. You know, like they understand. I know it sounds crazy. It's like, oh, another political party, like political parties suck, right? Or like the AF platform that Nick's doing. But yeah, like we just need a second track here, and now that we know what to look out for and how everything gets attacked, like hopefully there's going to be enough support so that we have a second rail. You know, we can be really upset about the immigration situation and all of that, but if there's nothing to jump to, you know, what are we gonna do? You know, just like lose our shit, throw the country in complete disarray. It's probably not how it's gonna happen. I mean, it certainly hasn't worked so far. So we need a better option.
We're gonna build that. We're gonna figure that out. But you're absolutely right. But it comes to us as the youth, people that are approaching 20, going into 30. Doesn't matter. We gotta figure that out. We have to build that, and we're gonna do that.
I just saw an article. It's called, yeah, absolutely. But it's called "The Glitch: How Dr. Seuss and DARPA Fought for Your Mind." We were just talking about Dr. Seuss yesterday. It's really funny.
Yeah, he's German, right?
Yeah, it says the War Department faced critical failure in 1943. Millions of drafted young men refused to read the field manuals necessary for their survival. Dude, nothing has changed at all. That's so funny. Yeah, millions of drafted young men refused to read the field manuals necessary for their survival. Soldiers were dying because they wouldn't learn through traditional means. The government responded with terrifying incompetence. Not incompetence. The factor they hired Theodore Geisel, Dr. Seuss, and paired him with Looney Tune animator Chuck Jones. They provided.
What could they have learned in regards?
Wait, don't interrupt. Please stop. Okay, you keep interrupting the host while he's cooking. You know, please go ahead.
Who got excited? Who was that? Was it Game?
It was.
Oh, you got a chill, bro. I know people get in this space and they think it's just a conversation between them and the rest of the room, but just hang out. All right. Anyway, so they hired Dr. Seuss. His real name is Theodore Geisel, and paired him with the Looney Tunes animator Chuck Jones. They provided a classified budget, security clearances, and a mandate to create an instructional cartoon called Private Snafu. That's so funny. I didn't even know about that. All right, I'm gonna Google it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And Israel, I love you. I'm telling you as a friend. You know, I stand up.
Stop it. Stop it.
Oh, here's what
French Messiah.
SNAFU stands for. So it says the military. The name was military slang for situation normal, all fucked up. That's what SNAFU means. SNAFU was a bumbling, lecherous idiot who leaked secrets to spies, bragged about troop movements, and refused to take nasty-tasting malaria pills. 6 of the 27 episodes, his carelessness led to his death. Blown up, crushed by tanks, or eaten by diseased mosquitoes. These cartoons were grotesque, hilarious, and brutally effective. Surveys show Private Snafu ranked amongst soldiers' favorite films. The men who ignored written pamphlets remembered every lesson they watched Snafu die learning. The War Department understood that art is a primary weapon of consciousness. They built a factory to manufacture behavioral change, fingerprinting workers and segmenting the animation process so few understood the full scope of the project. The playbook. For decades,
That's the MK Ultra, is it not? And also, like, all of those things go online.
Brother, I've warned you like 3 times. I don't know about MK Ultra, maybe we'll get to it. The playbook. For decades, the operations remained obscured. Then, in 1999, the government released the unredacted instructions at CJCSM 3500.08. I don't know what that is. We'll look that up. 4 years later, they released the even darker 2003 Army Field Manual on Psychological Operations. These documents read like user's guides for the human mind rather than military strategy. The manuals redefine military objectives as product production rather than troop movements. They treat videos, memes, or news stories as artillery shells. Weapons are targets, payloads, and with calculated impacts. They list the specific machinery required to edit reality, such as high-speed risograph leaflet printers, an MSQ-85B rolling TV studio for field editing, and Commando Solo. I don't know what that is, but the EC-130 aircraft that functions as flying broadcast stations designed to overpower local signals. These platforms execute task orders designed to edit reality. The metrics. The manuals are clear regarding successful movements. They redefine battle damage assessments, from counting destroyed tanks to counting adopted ideas. The standard for success found on page 7-8 is simple. 20% of the target audience exhibits behavior in accordance with the commander's desires. The manuals make clear that the action is the only metric that matters. Agreement is irrelevant because obedience is the ultimate goal. If 1/5 of the population changes their behavior to meet commander's desires, such as turning against their own allies, consuming themselves with infighting, or spreading demoralizing doubt, the operation is successful. It is behavioral engineering at scale. There's some more here, chemistry and all that stuff. Interesting.
We talked about that. Well, we talked about that yesterday. So one of the reasons that mass formation was kind of one of the excuses for dismissing the conversation around mass formation is because people assigned also mass formation psychosis to it, and psychiatrists argued that you can't give it a psychological diagnosis. You're not a doctor, and so people stopped talking about it. But in reality, that is true. It's like there's a 30-30-30 rule. Same applied to the revolution even. 30% wanted to leave the crown, 30% were passive, and 30% were loyalists. And the same applies to every circumstance. That's what we talked about earlier, like feeling that we deserve better sciences and, how stupid did they actually think we are, etc. They don't have to convince everybody. They pretty much just have to convince like 51% of the population, and they already have the power and the devices in their control. So they don't care that we know that they're full of shit because we're not their target audience in the first place. And probably nobody else that was, if you weren't paying attention to what Trillian was just reading, what I put up in the Jumbotron actually is true. I read the book Green Eggs and Ham to my son like at least 1,000 times. And he's an incredibly persistent. You would never take no for an answer, but it occurred to me. Sam Hayat was the greatest salesman in history. He would not take no for an answer. Like, that's really the takeaway from Green Eggs and Ham. I think Dr. Seuss was a genius, and it doesn't surprise me what you're reading right now, though we didn't know it. It's pretty fascinating, but it's really not surprising when you consider what you're referring to right now, in terms of basically how he adopted art and things that were easily digestible to, and ways to understand them in even silly ways, but nonetheless, way more effective than reading a field manual that they could get him to read.
Yeah, here's the next section. It's called the chemistry. This is the last one I'll read, but it's an interesting article here. It says, by 2006, DARPA shifted its focus from psychology to biology. They realized persuading humans with logic is inefficient compared to overriding survival instincts at the chemical level. They mapped neurochemistry and created mathematical formulas to track how ideas spread through populations, monitoring dopamine responses like drug tolerance. In 2011, they named the resulting victim the memoid. Spelled memoid, like memeoid, M-E-M-E-O-I-D. Training slides describe the memoid as a person whose behavior is so strongly influenced by the narrative that their own survival becomes inconsequential. What we once called a fanatic, DARPA classified as a successful product. Suicide bombers, people going down the rabbit holes, those destroying relationships for political tribalism, and rage typers doom scrolling at 2 a.m. are all memoids. They are chemically dependent on the narrative. I would agree. I'm actually interested in what this whole memoid thing is about, but yeah, it's true. Like, imagine like every second this platform is just generating signals. It's not just about the letters and the likes and the posts and the pictures and whatever, all that stuff. It's all about the activity of the interaction of it. Like, you can have the exact same post, you go super viral and do absolutely nothing. First, it depends on who posts it, and it depends on when you post it. All right, like the same stuff. Like we've been making fun of it, just calling it slop. I mean, and it is slop, right? But if like I posted this thing about like Charlie Kirk's hands being smaller in the casket than Erica's, like post takes off, like hundreds of thousands of views. I mean, for my account's not that big, right? But like post takes off. You do the same thing, right? Or like, I don't know, obviously because it's a casket, but you guys get the idea. But like at a point in time when that's not in the zeitgeist, it does nothing, you know. And so anyway, the point is like this whole like we're being monitored. People think it's just them like stealing data off your phone, but no, a lot of it is actually coming from what you're contributing, you know, to the equation here, to X, to you know, social media, YouTube's, all of that, and the impact that that causes. It is addictive, and they figured that out. You know, a lot of people want to become like YouTubers and want to have these big accounts. I mean, it's probably the most thankless, terrible job ever. Now they're all complaining that they're getting death threats and all of that. Yeah, if you put yourself in front of like 2 million people, there's going to be some nutter in the crowd that's going to say terrible things to you. Like, yeah, of course. Like, what is this quest to be seen? You know, it's because it's addictive. It's like, you know,
Quest to be seen.
once you like,
Am I the modern day Orson
and
Welles?
then you get that like million, 2 million, 3 million, right? Like people get addicted to that, and that's really what we're feeding into. And then we wonder why truth has gone by the wayside. Well, because the truth doesn't do that, right? It's in fact like this slop that's keeping people entertained, like stuck on their phone, you know, that kind of thing. That this system in particular is really rewarding. You know, like one of the most enjoyable things you can go do is either just hang out with your family with no screens at all, or like, I don't know if you're a guy, I don't know if women are like this, but like just go fishing, right? Like nobody can explain like why it feels so good to catch a fish. Like nobody can.
How to catch a
You know, it's
fish?
just like you're standing there
Did
wasting
I
a
ever
bunch
teach
of
you how to
time
catch a
thinking about
fish,
how
son?
like useless of an activity this is, and then like finally you get one on the hook, right? And then it's like all worth it all of a sudden. But obviously that's like in reality fun. We have been really duped. You know, they are using advanced psychological concepts of like human conditioning in order to like feed our reality back to us at a cost. You know, when like in that example, like it should cost you nothing. You know, but anyway, there are good things that come from it. I'm not trying to say there's no use for it. You'll certainly meet people that you wouldn't have met just standing out in the stream fishing. You know, there is a good.
But it's doing something you really enjoy. You know, and you don't have to be able to explain why. You know, it could just be something that is you at that moment, which is like living in the present, doing something you really like, not thinking about how to change the world, not thinking about your problems, not thinking of anything but what you know, sitting in that one place and waiting for the fish to come, you know, and you don't have to be able to explain it. It is what it is. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Screw Tape Letters. I did a series on it, and we had something like 100,000 views. It's a book by C.S. Lewis, and it's about Screwtape, who is a senior devil, and he is dialoguing with his nephew, a junior devil, Wormwood, on how to test this particular human soul. And each chapter is more convicting than the next, because all of these everyday things are really how the wheel turns in our head. And really, the devil's best tool is our mind against ourselves. Not in big catastrophes that people, or I should say, big catastrophes that people are, sort of turn to the dark side. Many times, that's what creates saints. Is the worst of times